we like to just start by getting you to introduce yourself and to tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Perfect. So I'm Angelos Bafas, and I'm coming originally from Greece. It's been the last 6 years that I've been living and working in London. I've done a couple of very nice and successful projects here in London. At the moment, you can find me at Nipperkin, running the whole beverage program for CRG Group, which is a portfolio of restaurants and bars within the capital. Excellent.
So how did you get into hospitality?
I needed to pay my rent. So actually it started back in 2004 when I was 14 years old. It was a golden era for Greece. We won Eurovision, we won Eurobasket, we won the Euro 2004, so it was a very good period. So yeah, I was 14 years old and I was trying to find a way to get out of my family business in a way. So hospitality came into the picture and I started over to like a very local coffee shop in my neighborhood where I was literally serving water. And then in 2009, when I started studying, I actually jumped behind the bar. It was a very mediocre club in Greece, summer club. So it was actually Bacardi Cola and I don't know if I can use the brand, rum and coke and gin and tonic and stuff like that.
Excellent. So what drew you to London? What was the salary?
So I always dreamed to work in London and live in London. Like for people from Greece and Europe in general, London used to be the Hollywood of bartending. Like all the big names were here, like big personalities, big people, great bars like the Savoy or the Connaught and stuff like that, like historic bars. So I always wanted to work here. I think the first attempt I did to work here was in 2016. But then Brexit happened, the actual, like when they first voted for that. So I had to postpone this idea. And then I took the decision when I got a very nice offer from Galvin at Windows and Hilton on Park Lane. I got a very nice offer to run their bar. And yeah, that was 2019, just before Brexit actually, the actual Brexit. So yeah, that's what actually drew me here.
Okay. And how do you think your experiences in London have shaped your outlook on bartending?
Oh, massively. Actually, the whole experience in London is such a different stage. To be fair with you, when I started here, I thought that the whole game is going to be higher, but I realized that it's not easy, but relatively more flexible than it was in Greece. So in Greece, you had to fight a lot of conservatism, even like behind the bar, even like in any creative like profession. But here people were more open-minded and more willing to give you opportunities. So coming here and getting these opportunities, I was actually ready to grab each one of them. So I would say that it shaped and improved my whole aspect on bartending, but also on managing and in life in general.
Okay. So I've been informed that you are known as Mr.ungarnished.
Yep.
And so I'd like to know where the nickname came from and what it says about your approach.
I'm lazy as fuck, that's what it says. So the whole ungarnished thing started in 2018, I think. I was working in a bar in Greece where at the moment the trend in Greece was like put as much shit as you want, you know, like mint, pineapple, grapefruit, custard sugar, and I know everything, and a couple of straws as well. I was struggling, I couldn't really put them there, I couldn't hold them in place, they were everything falling apart, and I was like, well, you know what, fuck that shit, like I'm gonna give it like this. And the great thing that made me realize that ungarnished is like, it can be a thing. First of all, it's very catchy, right? Let's be honest about that. And also, I had a shift in an island around the same time, 2018, I think. And we were doing these margarita drinks, which was the best-selling drink, right? And everybody used to put like a lime wedge on the margarita on the side. And then doing a round around the bar, I was realizing that all the lime wedges ended up on the table. So nobody was actually using the wedge. So technically we were wasting, because lime at the time in Greece, in an island, is like 10, 12 euros per kilo. So technically we were wasting around like £500 a day for no reason. So there was an element of sustainability, but the truth is I'm super duper lazy.
I have to say, I love your honesty.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Lazy meaning that I'm always going to find the best way to make something work.
Most efficient.
Exactly.
Okay, so your bartending style is often described as minimal, modern, and fun. Is simplicity harder to achieve than it looks?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to hide. So another truth about garnish is like you can hide a lot of things behind the nice appearance and behind the nice vessel or behind like a lot of ice or dry ice or smoke or whatever. When you're focusing solely on the flavor and solely on the drink, solely on the juice, which is technically what you pay for, or the guest pays for, it's very hard to hide things behind that. Same applies for the bar setups that we do. Same for here, like as you can see, it's a very nice plain table. When you do a mistake behind the bar as a bartender and there's like a lot of things to hide it, you can get away with it. Here, everything is visible. Any move, any mistake you may do, it will be visible. And it's not the end of the world if you do a mistake. After all, it's part of the job. But I believe that simplicity, yes, offers solutions in terms of efficiency. But if you're not well trained on this kind of beverage provision, this kind of drinks, you can really find yourself a bit exposed.
Makes a lot of sense. So you champion seasonal and local produce in your drinks. Has that always been your philosophy, or was there a turning point that shifted your perspective?
There was a turning point. It was actually here. It was in London. So in Greece, we always had like a, let's say, madness about everything like which is exotic, like everything was outside of Greece, although we had like a great terroir as well. Like, for instance, Greece has 1.4 thousand unique herbs and plants growing in their terroir, right? Nobody knows about it, even I'm Greek. So we had a massive love for pineapple, mango, yuzu, you name it. Everything that was outside of the Greek scope, right? So I was really into that, but coming to London, I realized that the whole perspective is slightly changed. Like even bartenders are following like techniques that the chefs do, or ingredients that the chefs are using. And they also have like allotments, or they have like ingredients that they grow themselves. So that was the initial. I was very lucky also that I mainly work with Michelin star chefs, so it really, really helped me to shape this opinion and understanding about produce and ingredients. So the main change pretty much started, I would say, at Aquasart, which is more of a modern British restaurant, and the guys were using like a lot of seasonal and local ingredients, not in a great scale, don't get me wrong. They were business focused and business oriented business, which is fine. But there was an element of local ingredients, which actually helped me to create the first British menu that we launched there in 2020, I think. And after that, I decided, and I did a lot of research, and I found data that actually it's quite shocking about carbon emissions, carbon footprint, how we can make a better industry, and how it does make sense, and it also helps financially the business as well, to use local and seasonal ingredients. So that was when the shift happened.
I also just wanted to say, in your intro, you didn't actually tell us what part of Greece you were from. So do you want to tell us a little bit about where you're actually from?
Do you really want that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a city called Drama. It's a tiny little city. It's got 50,000 people population. The name is Drama, and it justifies the name perfectly. It's a tiny little, very small, almost a village, up in the north.
Thank you. Let's start with the name.
Yeah. What does it mean?
Where did it come from? What does it mean?
Nipperkin is this actual thing. So the whole place, the whole restaurant and the bar is inspired by Victorian era manor houses. Like this place used to be a manor house. Like somebody apparently very, very rich used to live here in the 1800s or something. So when we took over the place, when CRG took over the place, and we having the idea of the bar, we were trying to recreate the exact place. That's why you can see the design. It's a bit like more homey. It's a bit more welcoming. So we did the research, and we found out that people back in the days, they used to have like a space where they were inviting their friends to have some drinks, right? And have you heard the term a nip of gin? I'm sure you have, right? So nip is sort of Nipperkin. So Nipperkin used to be a vessel where they were actually decanting their spirits as a measure to offer to the guests. So this is how we created this space, pretty much like a living room, 20 seats, that's all. A central table, which is mainly the host accommodating you around. And Nipperkin came out of the actual vessel that they used to use back in the days.
I love that. That's very tonic. We like those little quirky facts. Okay, so, but how did you decide that that was going to be the name? Did you name it, or did the business name it?
No, the name came, we decided the name with the business.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, the whole idea of the building, including the restaurant, was to pay homage to Victorian era in the food, in the drinks, in everything. Obviously, it was a business decision later on to slightly change it and add some Japanese elements, given where we are, and given what we felt it's better fit for the business. And to be honest, it worked. But yeah, the beginning was the idea of, if we create the bar as it is, as a living room inspired by the 1800s Victorian era manor house, we have to give a name that actually make resemblance to that. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the easiest name to spell or pronounce, especially if you're not from here. But for us, it was very, very much important to create the brand, and then we can work with that.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. All right, so you're overseeing, from what I understand, some incredibly diverse venues here. So you've got Nipperkin, NIJU, and HUMO,
Yep.
Kioku by Endo.
Yep.
So how do you maintain a clear creative identity across such different spaces?
I mean, the spaces, although have different identities, we all have a common element, which is the Japanese heritage coming from Endo, the culinary director of the whole group. So each restaurant has a personal identity. There is an element that is separate in each venue. So this is where we actually draw inspiration, myself and the team, because there is a lot of people behind the drinks, it's not just me. We draw inspiration behind that, and we're trying to deliver the best for each venue. I would say that we figured out the way to make drinks. So for us as a team collectively, the easy part is the drinks. So we are mainly focused on doing solid, proper hospitality. And the drinks is kind of a sideline, but we know that no matter what, we're going to deliver a nice drink.
Nipperkin has built a reputation for doing a lot with a little. What makes it special in your eyes?
A lot with a little, like that. So you can see, like, we don't even stock spirits. All this is like homemade maceration stuff we do. So the great thing about, and what we managed to deliver with the guys here at Nipperkin, was without using fancy techniques, without using like very expensive equipment, nothing bad with that. I mean, we would love to use it, right? We have them, but we don't use it. We decided to go backwards. We decided to go like back to the roots, use techniques that they originating back in the days, like maceration, fermentation, making our own wines, making our own vinegars. Technically try to extract flavor from the produce itself. So the produce is the main protagonist here. It's not the vodka, it's not the whiskey, it's not the gin, it's not the main spirit, it's the produce itself. And this is why we name the menu in a way that actually highlights the ingredient that gives the predominant flavor, aroma, or texture to the drink. And many times, that's a funny fact, we had guests returning the drinks menu as they were thinking that it's the food menu, because all the drinks are very produce-led, like the names leading to the produce. So it was like sometimes very confusing, especially for people familiar with, you know, the classic cocktails or whatever.
Interesting. So this is quite a broad question, but what does innovation mean to you in an era where bartending can feel increasingly high-tech and theatrical?
Understand the classics, understand the tradition, understand the techniques, and then without trying to make something new, try to make something better.
Thanks for that. That's a brilliant soundbite. We will probably use that online.
Glad to hear it.
Also, I just want to talk a little bit about your awards. So this is a pretty impressive bar by award standards. So does any of the awards mean something particularly special to you, or
Each award is special. Obviously, each one kind of justifies what we're doing here, and it gives an extra boost to the team and an extra motivation in a way. For us, the main award is like having a bar full and having people happy, to be honest, and like leaving a great review and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say I don't care about this. I do care, and this is why we're doing like the whole strategy and the whole plan and everything about the awards. Don't get me wrong, because it's a crucial part of the business, 100%. But they're not the only thing we're actually aiming for. So yes, they are very special to us, each one of them, especially the Pinnacle, which was the first that actually came here, and then 500 bars of the world and 50 cocktail bars of the UK came through, which is a great thing to be amongst this list. Do this list define us? Not necessarily. Are they important for the business? Yes. Would we like to have some more? 100%.
You've got 2 pins.
We've got 2 pins. We've got 30 on the 50 UK bars and 60 on the top 500 bars of the world.
That's great.
Plus, we're also in the bartender side, which is a great. It's a great list. It's a great guide. It's founded by Sam Gilani, and he's actually taking organic votes from bartenders for the bars, which is great to see like what the industry really is.
We love Sam. I was going to just ask about the Pinnacle Guide specifically, actually, because it's a different kind of award, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you want to explain why that? I just feel like that might have more of a synergy with your philosophy as well.
Yeah. Pinnacle Guide it's relatively new. It's been like 2 years now, pretty much, that it has launched. And the whole process of Pinnacle Guide is really, really great. Why they really dive deep. They really dive deep. Like the question, like the whole form to feel like an application for the Pinnacle Guide, it's pretty much like a full day's work. It's like 8 hours work for sure. And having to reply on that and having to elaborate on certain things and having to be honest about what you do, it's really what makes this award great. And it's really why I believe that Pinnacle Guide really separates the great bars for the good bars. And the whole distinction between 1 and 2, getting 1 is great, getting 2 is even better, getting 3 like Lion did, it's the best, right? And I do believe that this kind of awards, that giving speech to everybody, giving the opportunity to every single bar to not advertise, but to show what they're able to do and what they're doing and actually speak about that, it's a really, really great thing to have around a kind of saturated award system, realistically.
Yeah, because you're not competing against anyone else. You're just
by yourself. It's you against you.
Yeah, which is nice, I think. So let's talk about Hyper Drinks.
This one?
That's the one. It's more than a recipe book. It feels like a manifesto. What was the original vision for it, and how did it evolve during the writing process?
Oh, it changed a lot. So when I started the idea, I had like a manuscript on my drive from 2020, but I didn't remember about that. I found it after I published the book. So I had the idea, apparently, to write a book. I didn't know what. I knew what I wanted to write. I didn't know how to start, which was the main problem for me, because also it's not my native tongue, so it was double the difficulty to do that. And my first plan was, you know what, I'm going to put some ingredients together. I had the recipes. All the recipes were written, tasty recipes, tested, everything great. I'm going to put it on Canva. I'm going to use some stock images. I'm going to edit it on ChatGPT. I'm going to get it to a publisher or whatever. It's going to cost what? $2,000 I'm going to make. So in the end, multiply that, I don't know, 15. I ended up hiring a designer, hiring an editor, doing like the proper professional gig, right? Which was great, and I'm so pleased with the result. And the whole effort that Ladina, the designer, and Mili, the editor, put through, Caroline, Katya, the photographers, it was pure magic. Because they had the minimal brief. Ladina, especially the designer, she had the brief of make it sexy and slightly different, and she delivered that. So the whole idea started by me wanting to raise awareness within the bar industry about local ingredients and seasonal produce. It's something that it has been happening within chefs in restaurants for years. Everybody was using like local ingredients and local produce, but in the bars, you can see a bit of lacking here. You know, bartenders are really focused on like exotic, tropical stuff and stuff like that. So, given that we had the recipes from Nipperkin and from previous projects we ran with the guys, I decided that I really want to put this down in paper. If I can reach 10 people, that's 10 people. If I can reach thousands, that's thousands. You know, everything is going to be good. So I decided to, write it down. Something very simple, something that can affect every single bartender, that you don't really need fancy equipment. You don't really need to have like a crazy budget. You just need access to the produce and time.
So it strikes me that concept might be more universal than just bartenders. Did you consider the home bartender?
Yeah, 100%. As I'm saying in the first page, is made for home enthusiasts as well. So that's the whole idea, like how can you unlock different flavors than the usual? Because even when you make a home party for your birthday or for your whatever, you know, like you really want something unique instead of just buying a random made cordial. And also there are many people around us and many people in the UK that they really especially outside of London or even in London, that they really care about the produce they have, either from their allotment or from their friend's allotment or from the park or from foraging trips or whatnot, and don't really know how to use them and whether it's safe to use them or not, you know? So I believe that hyperdrinks can give you like access to a lot of flavor compounds and a lot of pairings potentially you might not be aware of, or simple techniques that you can extract flavors like your favorite amaretto, but doing it with plums, you know, or a nocino with green walnuts that some people have in their parks, in their backyards, you know. So it's technically things that come to you for free, and how you can make something that you use to indulge when you're going out.
That sounds, I like the for free part. You write about hyper-seasonality and hyper-locality. Can you explain, just for somebody who doesn't know, what those ideas mean in practice?
Super duper seasonal, super duper local. So the idea is like how you can use ingredients from your local community. So the local ingredients, yes, it refers to having something from your own soil, from your own terroir, but it's also supporting your local community. So it's much different to see people that they actually grew the strawberries to come here and have a drink with their strawberries. You see, it has a different value, it's a different currency for me. It's a very much coming people together, bringing people to discuss about the grades. Oh, how can we make it better? Oh, what drew you to our strawberries? And you can also see the difference in the microclimate. You know, like summer with summer is different, and you can see like strawberries with strawberries from the same farm is different, right? This is the hyper-locality, and the hyper-seasonality is like we only tend to use things in the best possible form, shape, and color. You will never see us using strawberries in December because it doesn't make sense. If we do, it has to be preserved. And as you can see around the bar, you will see a lot of jars happening at the moment with herbs and fruits, macerating. So we're trying to preserve the flavor for later. So we're either going to use the ingredient fresh at its best time, on its peak, when it's collected and ethically sourced as well, or collect it at its time and macerate it for a rainy day.
So do you use the whole, like, with this whole sustainability angle in mind, do you also use the whole fruit? What do you do with wastage? Do you have wastage?
There is wastage. I mean, realistically, in bar business, you can't avoid waste. Like everybody who is saying we're zero waste, they're like 100%. Low waste might be, but zero waste, you cannot achieve that, right? And also sustainability is a very vague word. You know, we can't really talk about sustainability bars when we operate AC 24/7, right? It's kind of an oxymoron. You can try to be as much as you can, but you can never be 100%, right? So there is always waste, but we're trying to find the best possible solution of how using the whole fruit or plant. For instance, like with apples, you know, or with plums. With plums, the amaretto we do with plums that I mentioned earlier. It was like we're using the fruit, but we also use the kernels. So technically, we don't throw something away. Or strawberries, we even use the green tops to make like a very nice syrup or something. So technically, blackcurrant, at the moment we're having like the blackcurrant leaves. So instead of throwing the leaves away, we're using the whole part of the plant, which is actually quite flavorful.
Do you grow on site anywhere? Or
We have, it's not on this side, it's on the other side in Kioku, it's in the Raffles Hotel in the Old World Office. We have a vertical garden, like hydroponic. And at the moment, I think we have basil, mustard leaves, and cherry tomatoes, if I'm not wrong. There were some periods we did like certain different like plants. We did like something like lettuce, oregano. We did strawberries at some point last summer. So we do grow some stuff. We used to have an allotment, but we don't have it anymore, unfortunately. You know how councils can be, you know. And but yeah, we have this 3-story vertical garden, which actually allows us to grow some stuff that we're using into our menus.
there's a section, I believe, in the book called Flavor Replicas.
Yep, it's
Yep.
on page, let me tell you exactly where. It's on page 231.
231. Okay, so
35, sorry.
235. So on page 235 of the book, there is a section called Flavor Replicas. What inspired this section? It's a really clever concept. Do you see it as a creative constraint or a form of flavor translation?
I'll tell you exactly. This chapter could also be named How to Create. So flavored replicas were born out of curiosity. I actually got the prompt from a friend in Greece to name it flavor replicas because at the moment I was not so focused on replicating the flavors, but on how to substitute ingredients. And he actually prompted me, and it was like a very nice kick in my brain, like, okay, yes, that actually makes sense. Or how you can replicate. So, as I said like earlier, bartenders have a crazy thing for being exotic, big tropical, tonka, pineapple, vanilla, and they work with drinks realistically and with desserts and everything. Like, you need this kind of sweet scent and sweet element to it, right? So I was thinking, all right, what if we don't want to use that? And how, like, there must be a way that I can use tonka without using tonka, or there must be a way that I can use vanilla without using vanilla. And then having the access to these ingredients, especially to forest produce like sweet woodruff, fig leaves, black currant leaves, all this stuff that, given the process or not, can give you like a different flavor profile. It actually led me to create this section, which was how you can be creative, one, without breaking the bank, and two, without adding any carbon emissions onto the atmosphere by flying pineapple or coconut or tonka or vanilla, and actually be self-sufficient.
It's really interesting. So it's not a constraint, really. It's just an evolution.
I think it's more of, it wasn't inspired from a constraint, it was inspired from giving another option. And so provenance, right? Provenance of ingredients is a price increasing factor, right? When you hear like, I love white tomatoes, it gives a boost. It's not just tomatoes, right? And they're a lot. So having sweet woodruff instead of tonka in a drink, although it's going to give you like very similar result, I believe that for a bartender is actually a big gun in his arsenal, in their arsenal, in the sense of, oh, look, he didn't go just for the regular tonka or the regular vanilla. He used something called sweet woodruff, and it works. So it kind of unlocks creativity without having to overcomplicate things. So I wouldn't say it's a constraint, and the reason why I realized that it's not a constraint, in a recent trip to Mexico, we actually had to reverse engineer the whole seminar, because in Mexico they have all year access to everything. So it didn't make sense for me to make a seminar about flavor replicas because they didn't really need it, right? So I had to reverse engineer the whole seminar and talk to them about, oh, look, you have pineapple, we have this. What can you do? How can you make yourself more creative and stand out from the crowd while everybody in Mexico is using pineapple, right? Because it's there. It's locally seasonal, nothing bad with that. But how can you be somehow different? So it was a bit of like a contradictory term given to local and seasonal produce, but it was also talking to how you can be creative and different than the rest.
How personal did hyper drinks become in the end? Were there stories or insights that you didn't expect to include when you first started writing?
Everything was meant to be included, so it's 100% personal. It's pretty much like a personal journal. It's like me writing my diary in a way, all the stories are stories from my youth, from when I was growing up in Greece, and how I evolved into the London bar scene and the drinks we actually created with the guys, and with Dimitris, who's our head of prep, and he's been working with me the last 4 years now. So all the stories are very, very personal, and to be honest, the great thing with this book is like it's quite raw. It hasn't had any filtration systems. It was like, as I was thinking, I was writing. Obviously, Millie tied it up and make it sound and read English, because there was certain limitations to my vocabulary at the time. So yeah, I would say it's 110% personal.
I love that. You've said before, that drinks don't need exotic ingredients or expensive tools to be exceptional. How does the book help make great cocktails more accessible to readers at every level?
Page 235, flavor replicas. It's actually, there are certain recipes in there that all the recipes in there. There are 89 recipes in total. None of them is using techniques. The most extreme piece of equipment you need is a pan and a hob. The most extreme. So in this book, 89 recipes, drinks and ingredients, I was trying to give an understanding to people that you don't really require to have super duper cool equipment. It's great if you do. I'm using it as well, don't get me wrong, and it's really, really helpful if you know what you want to do, right? Sometimes having access to all these ingredients and having access to all this equipment can be restraining itself. I have a saying, I'm saying that to the guys, it's like, limitation brings inspiration. So that's the whole thing. When you're limited to certain resources, to certain ingredients, you need to be more creative in order to find the best possible solution. So that's what Hyper Drinks does. It's 89 recipes, maceration, simple techniques that you just have to unlock the right elements of flavor. So this is why I'm saying the only thing you need is access to the produce and time, because time here is the most important ingredient. There are recipes in here that they might require 9 months, right? Or it's also very important to see how long you leave your maceration for, what kind of flavor you want to unlock.
So my mum used to say patience was a virtue. So
100%. I'm the worst patient person on earth. I can't wait. But in this case, I'd rather.
What kind of reaction are you hoping for the book? What do you want it to spark in the bartending community and further afield?
So my goal when I launched the book was to reach as many people as I can. So the whole goal is like people to get access to the book, try the recipes and see how it can actually, it's kind of a, how do you call it, like a case study. Like I'm trying to show to young bartenders that this actually works. You know, you don't really need your crazy fancy equipment. And the thing is, like, there is a lot of pressure into young bartenders. Like you can see like 20, 22, 25-year-old bartenders like feeling pressurized because of Instagram and because of what social media provides and what all the famous influential bartenders doing in the, oh, I'm just stealing that, I'm doing that. And people from Greece, people from Australia, people from wherever, they might not have the budget, which is totally reasonable, to buy like a rotovap or to buy a centrifuge or to buy all this crazy equipment, right? So this is created to show that there is world, and there is life, and there is bartending before and after these ingredients as well, this crazy equipment.
So it's all about just how creative you can be.
How creative and how free.
And how free.
Technically, it's all about having freedom to use something that grows into your backyard and just make an exceptional drink, you know, like this is the ultimate level of freedom you can find in the bartending industry. You don't have to pay stuff, you don't have to wait for a delivery, you just go out, you cut it, you macerate it, you do everything on your own, which is also like a kind of a burden that you have to control everything, you have to make a plan for yourself, you know. It's easy when you have somebody else doing your job because you can blame them, you know, if something goes wrong. Realistically, everybody does it. But when you have to deal with your whole planning, with your whole cropping, sometimes even with planting stuff, it's a different level of freedom that can unlock a very nice level of creativity.
So the title, did you come up with it?
Yep.
Where did that come from?
Hyper-seasonality.
So you just...
Yeah, so I had the idea like a couple of years ago. I actually wanted to make a pop-up bar named Hyper. And I was like, I don't have the money to make a bar, but might as well make a book, name it like this. So although Hyper started as a book, my goal is at some point to have a bar called Hyper and to do exactly the same thing. And also Hyper, besides the hyper-seasonality, hyper-locality element of it, it also has a powerful meaning. It has something quite electric to it. So I believe it can also work very nicely with a modern design, with a very like electric element, with, you know, good vibes.
It's a great name, I think. It's a great name for a bar as well. And what about the design? Is there anything we noticed when we were looking through the book about the little notes? So tell me, are they in your handwriting or is that?
Yeah, it's the actual handwriting. So Ladina, the designer, turned my handwriting into a font. So actually we were typing into my handwriting. But there are also certain elements that they were added handwritten and then just copied into the book. So it was me actually writing at a specific time. So the whole handwritten notes technically happened when I was proofreading the book, the second read. I realized that I forgot certain elements. And if I go back to edit the whole copy, it might change the whole layout of paragraphs, everything. So it's like, you know what, I might as well just do some arrow and do some notes. So this is how it ended up being literally like a journal and like a diary. And, you know, having like aspects of, oh, I forgot about this, let's add it like this, you know.
It's really. I think it humanizes the text a lot,
Exactly.
which is really nice. Makes it feel really personal. Anything else about the design that you really love? Like, what's your favorite part of the book?
I think the photography was spot on. I also love the cover. I think the cover was very smart and very clever to do something that. So when we were doing that, we were thinking to name the book Hyper, without the term drinks. But then I realized that it can be literally anything, you know. So we wanted to, yes, keep it simple. As you can see, we don't really have a lot of information about what the book is on the cover. We wanted to be like a coffee table book in a way, but also have a distinctive feature that shows that this book is about drinks, you know. It's about cocktails, about modern cocktails. That's why we used like a coupe, which is actually a drink that we have here. We turned it into an illustration. It's an actual photo of a drink. And then we decided to add handwritten the term drinks. The whole photography is amazing, and the guys, both Carla and Katia, did an amazing job taking the shots. To be honest, I'm pleased. Like when I first received the book, I had it at my father. I was like, I couldn't believe that this is my book. The actual comment I made was like, this looks like a real book. You know, it was very hard for me to believe that this is my book.
So can you do me a favor and can you open it to your dedication at the front and read that for us?
Front or back?
The front where you said about your dad.
To my mom and dad who still don't understand what I'm doing for a living.
That's the one.
Yeah, they still don't understand what I'm doing for a living.
They still.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really universal thing. I think a lot of people's
has it.
parents don't get what they do.
I think my parents are afraid that I'm selling drugs and making money. Because a salary you can make in London, right, on this level, doesn't really add up with the salary they're used to for bartenders in Greece. So they think like I'm doing something dodgy, which I'm not, by the way. But yeah, it's hard to give to them to explain how a job like this can get you like places and can make you like a proper seasoned professional to, you know, have a life and travel and have a home and whatever, you know. It was actually like the argument I had with them was I turned down like a big job for the time in Greece to work in a bank, which was offering me like very good money, given that Greece was in recession, into crisis and all that crazy stuff. In 2014 that was. And when I said to my father, like, you know what, I'm not going to take that. It was like €1,000 a month, which was stupidly great money, right? Especially for something straight coming out of uni. I was like, I'm not going to do that. It was the most boring job I've ever had. Like, it was crazy. It was so boring. I was actually doing other people's job. I remember one day I went into the vault and put every banknote with serial number for like, it was like, I don't know, like €200,000, something like that. I was so bored. So yeah, I decided not to take the job. My father was so upset. Like, he barely would talk to me, you know, like he was super duper upset. But, you know, this is what I want to do. And to be honest, I fucked up because this year I got a job in an island and I ended up sleeping on the street, which was, the hotel never opened. Long story short, they kicked me out of the house. I had £0, but I was too proud to call them, you know, so sorry. But yeah, but after all, it worked out.
So is there anything in the book that's missing? Like now that you see it in its complete form, is there anything that you go, oh damn, I wish I had included that?
Not really, because there is a plan to write a couple more books. So yeah, at the moment I'm already writing the second one, which is going to be the same idea, but with wild ingredients, solely focused on foraging and solely focused on things that you can source from the coast or for the forest or in the parks. But yeah, I wouldn't say that something is missing. It's exactly how it had to be.
It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
There is something missing. We forgot to add the barcode. And then I had to print extra stickers to put on the back. Yeah, that's missing.
That sounds like a common mistake in publishing. We are quite familiar with that one.
So before that, so does your dad have a copy of the book now?
Sorry?
Does your dad have a copy of the book?
Yeah, yes, he doesn't understand shit though. Yeah, they don't speak English.
Okay.
I told them, like, take photos with on Google, you know, it's going to do the translation for you.
Yeah, but he's proud of the book though.
Yeah, he is. They're both proud, yeah.
All right. And your editor, you got an editor in. So what was that experience like working with them, and was that a good experience, the back and forth?
It was an incredible experience because I couldn't have wished for a better editor. The person who edited the book was Minimalist, and she has like tons of experience in the journalism and publishing and everything, and writing and editing. And when she came on board, it was like so flawless, the movement. Like she just took on the copy, took the manuscript, did the editing like that, sent back to me, easy. It was the easiest turnaround we could possibly wish for. It was like a really, really great symbiotic relationship we had.
That's great. We know Millie really well. She's lovely.
She's an amazing
Yeah.
person. Yeah. And she's so good at what she does.
She is.
She's annoyingly good.
Yes. What do you think a truly sustainable drinks program looks like to
Oh,
you?
Non-existent.
And what's holding more bars back from embracing that?
If you're trying to be truly sustainable and fully sustainable, you're going to miss elements of the vibe, of the vibrance, of the color, of the flavor. You know, it can be done. It needs really, really, really hard work. And bartending and bars as business is like a very fragile ecosystem. You know, like you pulling hairs. You know, like you're trying to balance out stuff that for people outside of this, they don't make sense. Like you have to balance labor, costs, rent, your profits from the drink. Like it's a very, very fragile ecosystem. So yes, you can be fully and truly sustainable, and you can deliver like a good product. But I think it's something that it's gonna end up like on the negatives. You know. So I believe that the perfect balance is like try to be as much sustainable as you can, trying to be respectful. And this is why I'm not using the term sustainable in my beverage programs. I'm using the term ethical. Trying to be as much ethical as you can be for the people around you, for your internal and external environment. But unfortunately, we cannot save the world. I wish we could, we can't. But at least we can treat our people around us in the best possible way. We can create a solid community ecosystem. And then if you manage to affect your small environment, your instant environment, then possibly that can bring a bigger change. But I think it takes a small step at a time. To answer the question, truly sustainable beverage program will take working with local producers, cutting down the middlemen, reduce all the kind of, reduce if not eliminate, flying produce and fruits and vegetables from abroad, and use things where in season, I would say.
When did you feel the most proud of your achievements in this space?
I don't know if you can include that, because I don't know if you need to get the permission from the person I'm going to mention. The proudest moment of my career was when Alex Cartena, I walked into Tiger Elementary to have a drink, and he shook my hand. We knew each other, that we exist. I obviously knew Alex. He knew that I exist somewhere, but we were not on the first name basis, right? And he went to Kioku bar, and he actually said, like, this is the best bar he'd ever been in London. And I grew up with videos of Alex Cartena. Like, my bartending started in 2012, technically, when Alex Cartena was making these videos with Artesian and with Simone and all that stuff. So for me, Alex Cartena saying this to me was like the whole circle ended. You know, that was awards great, celebrities, people here great. Like, yeah, Google reviews, TripAdvisor, yeah, great, all amazing. Very proud. It's single moment. It's very proud. But this for me was like when I was, oh wow. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I think a lot of what you do, and with the book, it's sort of come to the fore, I think, for a lot of us that work in publishing is, you know, it's very creative. Obviously, bartenders fundamentally are creative beings. How do you stay creatively engaged after so many years at the top of your field?
I'm not as creative as I used to be honest. I have shifted my mind into more operation things, you know, like how to run successful bars and looking at it more holistically. But creativity has different aspects. Like, there is a time and period for everything, you know, like there was a time that I was creative with my drinks, and there is a time that now I want to be creative with the bar projects I create, you know. So it's not only liquid creativity, it's more about also the physical creativity, about like adding an element into something. And I totally forgot the questions. Can you repeat?
How do you stay creative?
How do you stay creative? It's just great, you know, it's just keep swimming, kind of. So the more you are into that, there are crazy blank moments in my life, like I'm zero creative at all. The book, for instance, was like a very nice reboot for me. Like it made me feel so duper creative. And also with all the process going on, I realized that you can't do it on your own. So in order to stay creative, you need to have creative people around you. You know, take something from one, give something to another. Also, giving ideas is quite creative. It's going to help you reboot. Traveling, tasting, you know, all this stuff can help you maintain creativity.
And what's next?
I don't know, you tell me.
You tell me.
Next is a new menu for Nipperkin coming in September, which is going to be quite interesting. It's going to be actually the first semi-permanent menu, so we're going to move away from the changing every 2 weeks because it's been a nightmare for the guys. So we're going to move into a permanent menu which is going to change every 6 months, but then we're going to also introduce specials given the season. So that's the most exciting thing. There are some other things coming from my end outside of CRG, some personal stuff. There's a lot of seminars coming up. There are some international things that we're going to promote and present the book. There are a lot of things in the pipeline. It's just need to find time and properly put them down and just get to action, you know, get the ball across the net.
And where can we buy the book?
Online on my website. It's ungarnished.co.uk. You can find the link there and you can buy it. It used to be on Amazon, but Jeff Bezos was making a lot of money, so I decided not to give him anymore. So, yeah, it's mainly on my website. I'm trying now to get it over some bookstores, or you can find it from here as well. You can. It's been sold in Nipperkin as well.
Yeah, I think that's good. Is there anything else you want to say that we haven't covered?
Nothing really. I
No?
think we covered everything.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Sorted.
Thank you.